Hi, Robyn from Play Move Improve. I wanted to share with you what I'm seeing at the moment, and it's a little bit worrying. Visual tracking. When I was working in 3-year-old and 4-year-old kinder 6 years ago, I would never have had to have harped on about visual tracking so much. I honestly, 5, 6 years ago, didn't even test it. It wasn't part of my school readiness observations that I do in classrooms. It wasn't part of my screening that I do in early childhood. I used it mostly in primary school age if I saw that a child was still reversing letters at the age of 8, or if they were clumsy or had difficulties with finding their space around the environment. But 3 and 4-year-olds I'm noticing are struggling with basic visual tracking. And the visual tracking that I'm finding is just this simple action where we torch, pencil, doesn't matter what it is. We encourage children to look left, look right, look up, look down, left, right, up, down. And we're noticing that the eyes aren't tracking, or the eyes are tracking, but for a 4-year-old, the whole head is moving. Or I'm noticing that I have to tap the torch to get their visual attention. This wasn't something that I had to screen for. And I believe screen time is having a real part to play. And that's why you'll see me harping on about screen time, not because I haven't a judgment about it or because I have an opinion about whether children should be on screens. It's because physically in the last 5, 6 years, we're seeing a difference in the way that children are moving. Not all children, but some children are struggling with these basic visual tracking skills, with the basic movements of moving their head without their shoulders moving as well, being able to move their hands without their elbows coming up. So I wanted to share a few quick visual tracking activities with you, not to achieve a reading level. I just want to explain that. The work that I do, of course, there's improving my business title, but it's not to make an academic achievement the top priority. It's to make the basic foundation of movement the top priority, because if our body can't move, then it struggles to learn. So please, these activities are to try and be as play-based as possible. Of course, it has the end result of improving reading skills, improving the ability to focus the eyes on a page. But please know that this is to be play-based first. Make it fun. That's what we're trying to do here. So what I do is I just get a sheet like this. This is in my visual tracking handout. So if you go to my Facebook, my website, playmoveimprove.com.au, go to free downloads, the tab, you'll find one that's all about reading foundation. So if you go to the reading foundation, I'm pretty sure it's at the bottom. Don't quote me on that. You'll go to the reading foundation, how to build up reading skills, and this is in there, all for free. So please grab it. All I encourage children to do is put it sideways. Now, this is for children aged 4 and above, because we need an ability called crossing the midline. I won't talk about crossing the midline yet. Just go to my Facebook page and type in crossing the midline. You'll find heaps of videos on that. All I'm requiring children to do is, if this is in front of them, I get them with their opposite hand to place the pom-pom on the correct color. What this is called is visual discrimination. They're trying to work out which color is different, and they're crossing the midline at the same time, working on those reading and gross motor skills as well. So then we can try a different color. Doesn't matter what color. We just pick a color and we ask them to tap it on the opposite side of their body. If this is a challenge for them, they're finding it hard to cross the midline, then what we do instead is we get one with them all jagged. Ideally still have it this way, so we're still encouraging to develop those crossing the midline skills, but this would be for age 3 and above. We just get the pom-pom again and we place the pom-poms onto the circle. So we pick up the pom-poms and we place them onto the colored circle using that visual discrimination skill. We need visual discrimination, knowing that the colors are different or something about that visual dot is different, because the letters on a page are different. A B is different to a D, so we need to look for the differences. So any color matching activities is fantastic for the eyes. The larger the piece of paper or the larger the scale, the more they're going to have to move their eyes around the space. So don't feel like you have to get stuck on A4 size. A3, even better. Whiteboard, even better. Bigger the area, more space for children to look around. Another skill that I would love children to do before they worry about writing their name is finishing off shapes. This is the ability to have visual perception skills. So how do I finish this circle off? How do I finish this triangle off? Before we worry about letters and numbers, before we worry about writing our name, can we work out our visual perceptual skills first. So these are more school readiness activities, so more in the kindergarten age and above. This is more for our 3s, all in that free handout. So please grab it if you need. Another skill that I would really love our 3s and above to know, we've got shapes here, and I'd love a 3-year-old to tell me which one the biggest shape is. So we're working on a few things here: visual discrimination, but also spatial relationships. Which one's bigger, which one's smaller? This is early numeracy as well. We need to know about numbers that are smaller and bigger, shapes that are smaller and bigger. So I asked them, can you please tell me which shape is the biggest here? And ideally they'll say triangle. And then we'll say, what's the smallest? What's the one on the inside, the smaller one? And we'll say cross or X or whatever they say. We go through these one at a time. So we don't provide the whole sheet to the children, just one at a time. Cut them out and provide one at a time. And what we're trying to do is get the eyes to focus on the shape and the color, but we want the mind, the working memory part of the mind to go, what did she say? Did she say biggest, smallest? Did she say inside, outside? We want those spatial relationship concepts to really start to come into play. Doesn't have to be on paper. It could be 2 objects. I want you to find the blue pom-pom. I want you to find the green highlighter. Doesn't have to be a paper, can be objects, but can we find the smaller object? Can we find the bigger object? Can we find objects with color to try and get those eyes to look around the space? Best thing would be if we could hide some things under the small pom-pom, and can we in the pom-pom tub find these small objects? Even better. Amazing for visual perception, 3D world, because we have to remember we take these skills for granted because we played more than our kids play. I play more than my kids played. So we want to make sure that children are still having their screens, because I know it's part of their life. I know I can't stop that from happening. Even for my own children, I can't stop that from happening. But make sure these foundation skills that we take for granted are still being developed. We need to find small objects in a tub, or we're going to keep losing our socks in the car. We're going to keep losing our shoes in the house. Finding small objects is wonderful for visual perception skills. Another great activity is for trying to do a maze. Now, this is for 4.5 and above. And also, this is a complicated maze. I use this for my primary children. So the easier the maze, the better. You can just go onto Google and type easy maze. You can make a maze out of Play-Doh. It doesn't have to be paper. But what we want to try and do is encourage children to get from one end of the maze to the other. The reason why this one's even more complicated is they're trying to get me to go through the maze. So I worked on this type of activity with Hugh for months because Hugh knew in his mind which way to go. He was very good at mazes. Academically, cognitively, he was great at mazes. But if I asked him to tell me which way to go, am I going up? Am I going down? Am I going left? Am I going right? Still finds that a challenge. And he's 11, because this is a challenge that has been part of his dyspraxia, part of his poor spatial awareness. Even when we were playing Switch yesterday, we're on the Switch and he has the letters on his controller and I have nothing, it's blank. And he kept saying, why? And I kept going, which letter? Tell me which way. I don't have the letter Y written on my controller. Which one? Up, down, left, right. Still struggles. So I play games with him like Boomerang Foo, I think it's called, where we have to do that. Tell me which way I need to go. Right, left, up, down. If we don't have those skills as a foundation, it can make the letters B, D, P, and Q very challenging, because B has a stick with a belly on the right. I don't know which way's right. Which way's right? P has it on the right, but it's up the top. This one's down the bottom. So it's trying to get children to learn in this sense, in a maze, in explaining, can you help me get from A to B? You tell me forward, back, left, right. Make mistakes with your movements when they make mistakes with their directions, and it's going to help them build up those spatial awareness skills. Getting more in depth with visual tracking is a skill where we use saccades. So this is in that visual tracking handout as well. We have 2 types of visual tracking: looking around the room, side to side, up and down, and saccades are jumping around the room. So looking here, looking there, looking there, looking there, going around in really quick jumping movements. For reading, we need both. When we're reading a story, reading words on a page, we're scanning across the page. but we're also jumping from word to word. We're jumping over those gaps with our eyes. This activity is, we get children in to look at the code at the top, and from the start to the end, they can see that there's these numbers 4, 6, 3, and 2. So we look at the color 4, 6, 3, then 2. We jump our eyes from it. So from here, 1, 5, 6, and 3. We jump our eyes from 1, 5, 6, and 3. It's that jumping movement of our eyes. If this activity is tricky, go back and make sure that they can follow. This is called pursuit. Can they follow the movement of their eyes? Can they jump the movement of their eyes? If it's all too complicated, don't worry. This could be a working memory challenge. So if they're finding 1, 5, 6, and 3, and they go, I can't remember those 4 numbers, go back to the cerebellum activity that I had for you. You might not have this yet. That's okay. It's in the self-regulation free handout. So the self-regulation free handout has where we put these circles on the ground. So you might have seen a picture of Hugh in my Let's Move program. Circles on the ground in an arc shape. These are on the ground and they're in a rainbow arc shape. Hugh sets them all up, so he puts them in whatever order he wants. This is the important part of the activity. You cut out these strips. Give one strip, just the top strip, one strip. These are on the ground, and I encourage Hugh to tap, stomp, throw a ball at, any activity you can think of, on the yellow, the green, the orange, then the blue. He has to keep that sequence in his mind. What colors did she say? What did I have to do on the circles? Did I have to hop? Did I have to stomp? Did I have to throw? What did I have to remember? Because a lot of reading and academics is working memory, keeping this information in our mind as we're doing a movement. And I feel this is where a big gap of our children's development is, being able to keep information in our mind. I can't ask Google for the answer. I have to keep it in my mind and know the sequence of the strip. So in that free self-regulation handout, you'll have 4 strip. You'll also have 6. I also run it the other way. So if you have children who find the 4 is manageable, try and give them a 6-step instruction and keep that information in their brain. A lot of people ask me, how many circles should children be able to keep? Now, years ago, 5, 6 years ago, 4-year-old would typically remember 4 instructions, 4 steps, 4 colors. Not happening as much at the moment. So my research, my textbooks behind me aren't matching what I'm seeing in the classroom. That's why I'm so passionate about getting this out to children. Even this activity that I do here with the children, it's monsters. I give them the 4 monsters and I ask them to circle. So this is folded. I show them the 4 monsters and then I ask them to circle which ones I just showed them. This has been a challenge for children. 4 objects, tell me which ones you've just seen. It takes practice and it takes doing these activities all the time. Why I feel we didn't have to worry about this when we were younger is we played this game. How many of us used to play concentration for hours? Concentration, turn all the pieces over, try and find a pair. Some people call it pairs, some people call it concentration. We used to play this all the time because we didn't have iPads to keep us busy. We played solitaire with cards. We played concentration with cards. We were playing Snap, Go Fish, all these games where we had to keep our memory working. We did this all the time. This is what we need to try and bring back. Just simple as this. Cut out this handout, turn them over on the table, try and encourage children to remember them. A 4-year-old, I only put out 4 pairs, 8 cards in total. Let them have success, let them win, let them lose as well. And then we go up to 5 pairs, 6 pairs. The more confident they get, the more they exercise their memory, the more they're going to enjoy this game. Last one, because I know that this is a lot. I play this activity on paper or with real objects. Now, I don't expect you to go and find a kettle and put it on a tray, but if you imagine having a tray and we get 6 real objects and we put them on the tray and we ask children to remember what they saw on the tray. We cover the tray up. I give them some success. I give them on a piece of paper that they can circle. Asking children to remember 6 objects, what they're called, what was it, is very challenging. So then we give them the option, can you circle the ones that you saw? Now I know it's a little bit of setup, but this game can be played on repeat. It can be played over and over and over again. These activities need to be repeated over and over, just like when we were learning to crawl, we repeated them over and over. Hopefully these activities, you've seen now the importance of them. We need to put these into our programs, not just to achieve academic performance. It's not all about that, but it's about building the foundation so that when they go to school, they have the visual skills to be able to start to learn how to read. They have the spatial awareness skills to be able to find their pencil case and their drink bottle. And we also have the working memory skills to be able to follow a 4 to 5 step instruction. So let me know how you go. Let me know if you get stuck on my website, because sometimes it can be confusing. I can send you the free downloads if you need, if it's easier. Please share this with your friends who have little ones, with your early childhood or primary school colleagues. The more we can get these simple activities out to children, the more we can have a healthy balance between screen time and development. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be online again soon, I'm sure. Take care.